Chapter 1327. Gu Meng Meng nodded and said, Did I go overboard? Miranda looks a little pitiful. Leah kissed Gu Meng Meng's forehead and said, Silly girl. If any males continue to pester you when you don't like them, Elvis and I will be much crueler than what you did today. But you are born soft-hearted and kind. I am already very satisfied that you can do this for me. Yeah, today is the second happiest day of my life. Gu Meng Meng could not smile and could only look at Leah and ask, Second happiest? Then what about the happiest day? Of course it's the day I mate with you and leave my mark on your ear. Leah smiled ambiguously and hugged Gu Meng Meng, kissing her left ear and said, Gu Meng Meng, leave Miranda's matter to me. I enjoy the sight of you being jealous because of me, but I can't bear to see you make things difficult for yourself, doing things you are not good at and don't like. Actually. Gu Meng Meng lowered her head. She could not deny that Leah was right. Gu Meng Meng had never been a White Lotus, but the education she received had a moral bottom line. She clearly knew that Miranda came to solder with Cole's motives. Once she was thrown out, based on Cole's behavior, Miranda would definitely die. She felt a sense of guilt for pushing someone to their death just to protect her own love. Gu Meng Meng. Leah pulled Gu Meng Meng's hand to his lips and kissed it, saying, Do you know? I was so afraid that you would suddenly change the way you speak. This makes me feel as if the whole world doesn't want me anymore. I should not have forced you to do things you are not good at, I was too greedy. Forgive me this once, alright? Gu Meng Meng's lips twitched and said, It's not your fault, I was the one who insisted on handling it. I was the one who fought fiercely and now I am the one who feels guilty. I also don't know why I'm being unreasonable, I just can't tolerate her, but I also didn't want to kill her. Leah patted Gu Meng Meng's back gently, comforting her while thinking. After a while, Leah said, Maybe there's a place where she can never return and Cole can't hurt her. Gu Meng Meng looked up and asked, Where? Leah replied, Moda Mountains. Gu Meng Meng's eyes brightened, he was right. The terrain of the Moda Mountains was so steep that even beast kings like her and Elvis could not climb up, much less a crippled beast like Cole. As long as they sent Miranda to the Moda Mountains, she would not be able to come down and Cole would not be able to go up. She would not be able to come back to harass Leah and Cole would not be able to kill her. Gu Meng Meng's mood brightened up instantly. She smiled. Just nice, I took the love of the sky that they were guarding at the Moda Mountains and left them a snow fox female with pure bloodline. It's considered returning the favor. After all, birds could not go down the mountain as they pleased. And from what Ian and Gregory said, the ratio of males and females on Moda Mountains was stricter than any other tribe in the beast world. Sending a female up would be considered a huge gift. But Gregory has been gone for a long time. How do we send him off now? Leah smiled. We don't have a way, but the beast deity definitely has a way. The beast deity must know how that Lord got in touch with Gregory. Chapter 1328. Leah chuckled. Then lock Miranda up and announce to the public that she has already been sold. Next year, during the monsoon season, we will bring her along when we go to the Moda Mountains and deliver it personally. How about that? Gu Meng Meng nodded. Leah, do you think I am being too selfish? Just because she likes you, I can't tolerate her, am I being too petty? Leah stroked Gu Meng Meng's hair. Silly girl, have you forgotten what I said? Your selfishness is what I yearn for in my dreams. I can't wait for you to be more selfish. The more you can't tolerate others liking me, it means that you care for me even more. This makes me feel very secure and happy. Why would I think you are bad? Gu Meng Meng didn't say anything else. She just snuggled in Lee's arms for a while. As the weather turned colder, the day of Wabi-Ai's return to the Snake King Valley drew near. Today, Wabi-Ai, who had gone out hunting to help Gu Meng Meng store food, swam back lazily. He threw 2 wild boars to Leah and swam over to Gu Meng Meng nonchalantly. He reached out and poked Gu Meng Meng's head twice, feeling very happy. This little action was something he had been doing ever since he was stained with Gu Meng Meng's blood and was no longer afraid of her. Every time they met, he would poke her head twice to make sure that he was really not afraid of her. If he didn't poke her, he would feel very uneasy. Gu Meng Meng was used to his poking and couldn't be bothered to be calculative. After poking Gu Meng Meng, Wabi felt completely at ease. He sat against the wall and said nonchalantly, "Your little fox guessed correctly. After I swam a sufficient distance, that cripple indeed appeared. Although he is a 5th-level beast, he is clearly much weaker than me. I had almost reached the Snake King Valley before he dared to show himself." Wabi had said before that he was afraid of her and hovered around the borders of Sauter, not daring to enter. Meanwhile, Cole should be hiding further away and unable to get close. Wabi was judging the strength of his fear of her based on the distance between them. Although hiding in the Snake King Valley was definitely an exaggeration, but it was inevitable that Cole could get closer to her than Wabi. But Gu Meng Meng did not feel that it was entirely a problem of strength. There was also a certain degree of psychological effect. Although Wabi was fearful of Gu Meng Meng, he knew very well that Gu Meng Meng would never hurt him. But Cole was different. Other than the fear in his bones, he also had a psychological fear because he knew very well that Gu Meng Meng really wanted to kill him. But Gu Meng Meng didn't tell Wabi about this. This long worm was about to go into hibernation again. She would let him be arrogant for a while longer. Tilting her head, Gu Meng Meng nodded in agreement and said, "Yeah, my little shit is naturally extraordinarily strong. How can a dung beetle compare to him, right?" Wabi pondered for a while and asked, "Are you complimenting me?" Gu Meng Meng nodded solemnly, her face full of sincerity. Wabi chuckled, "Now do you know how powerful I am?" Gu Meng Meng was speechless as she held back her laughter. Then, she asked, "Did you act according to what Leah taught you?" Wabi nodded repeatedly and slapped his thigh with a smile. Let me tell you, acting as Snake's little daddy feels really good." Gu Meng Meng chuckled speechlessly. Leah placed the wild boar at the side and walked over to sit beside Gu Meng Meng. He looked at Wabi and asked, "Then what was his reaction when he found out that you had become partners with the previous messenger of the beast deity?" Chapter 13:29. Gu Meng Meng face-bombed and looked at Leah. "Will this work? Why do I feel that little shit is so unreliable?" Leah shook his head gently. He fiddled with Gu Meng Meng's fingers for a moment before replying. "No, it's better this way. Isn't it because of what you said, a real man never looks back, a blazing fire and drifting wind await him?" Gu Meng Meng chuckled. "A real man never looks back at an explosion." Leah nodded. "That's exactly what I meant." Wabi snorted. "Can the two of you speak like a human?" Gu Meng Meng replied. "What Leah means is that if you don't observe Cole's reaction, Cole will instead believe what you say. He is too smart. As long as you try to guess something, he can imagine the entire classic of mountains and seas. His physique, which is a combination of demons and ghosts, is too good at guessing people's minds. Instead, it's because you left him a suave and proud back view that he will believe that you have really become partners with Wang Xiaoxin. After all, marrying the previous messenger of the beast deity is even more eye-catching than marrying me. You have the right to be arrogant." Wabi stood up abruptly. He turned around with his back facing Gu Meng Meng. Isn't this suave?" He changed his angle and asked again. "How about this? Proud and aloof?" I am too handsome, am I?" Gu Meng Meng replied, "My movements are sluggish and my heart is intoxicated." Leah asked, "What do you mean?" Gu Meng Meng rolled her eyes at Wabi. "My heart is so tired," Leah laughed and carried Gu Mengmeng to the door to bask in the sun. Wabi-Ai adjusted his posture and angle as he watched Gu Mengmeng leave. He then chased after her, using all sorts of lighting to calculate the distance. Then, he asked Gu Mengmeng, don't you think my back view is the most handsome? Gu Mengmeng deeply regretted praising Wabi-Ai. The repercussions were worse than being afraid of her. Elvis returned from outside and took Gu Mengmeng from Lee's arms. Leah went to prepare lunch. Elvis glanced at Wabi-Ai. What's wrong with him? Gu Mengmeng said, ignore him, he's having a fit. Elvis chuckled and nodded his head, saying, all the females of the wolf clan should be here, a total of 27 of them. Tomorrow, there might be other families with wolf clan males joining us, so we've marked out a piece of land in the old land of the 16 tribes for the wolf clan to stay in. The cave has already been dug, but the new cave is more damp and cold, which is a problem. But I've already taught them to use fire to dry the cave, so it should be able to temporarily get through the winter. But now that winter is coming, I'm afraid we won't have enough food. Gu Mengmeng thought for a while and said, we have a lot of food reserves at home, why don't we give a portion to these 27 females? At least we have to ensure that all 27 of them are still alive when winter ends next year. Elvis shook his head and said, you cannot share your food with others. But, Leah went along with Elvis's words and said, I will teach them how to store food. It will be up to them how much food they can store for their own females in these few days. Gu Mengmeng, don't underestimate the potential of males. For their own females, there's nothing they can't do. Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, then we can only do that. But I don't know if we have enough salt. Chapter 1330. The matter of the female wolf tribe was thus settled. With Elvis and Lee's arrangements, Gu Mengmeng did not have to worry about it. Miranda was imprisoned by Leah in the secret room where Cole had previously imprisoned Jillian. In order to prevent news from leaking, Leah did not arrange for the snow foxes to guard her. Instead, he got Elvis to arrange for the wolf tribe to watch over her and deliver her meals every day. Miranda was surprisingly obedient. She did not cry or make a fuss in the secret room. The wolf beast reported that she only said one sentence these few days. In the end, I still could not escape the fate of being imprisoned, but being imprisoned by Aya is better than being imprisoned by Cole. It was a little self-deceiving, but Gu Mengmeng still chose to ignore it. She only instructed them to deliver Miranda's meals on time and ensure that she could safely survive this winter. She did not need to report other trivial matters. Wabi-Ai was getting more and more listless every day. Gu Mengmeng knew that it was time for him to go back. I will send you. Gu Mengmeng hooked one arm around Wabi-Ai's neck and said in a brotherly manner. Wabi-Ai snorted. I am the best in the world. Do I need a little female like you to send me? Humph. Gu Mengmeng thought about it and agreed. She said she was going to send Wabi-Ai, but in the end, Elvis had to carry her all the way. All right, go back and have a good sleep this year. Next year, bring back some fruits from the Snake King Valley for me to eat. I want to eat that red one, do you know about it? Wabi-Ai nodded. Yes, the one snake kicked me off the tree to help you pluck. When I return next year, I will bring you the biggest and best one at the top. Gu Mengmeng nodded. Little shit knows me best. That night, Leah prepared a sumptuous dinner. Gu Mengmeng took out some of the newly brewed grape wine and poured it into small bamboo cups. Elvis only had 1 cup and Gu Mengmeng ordered him to drink at most 3 drops in one mouthful. He was not allowed to drink any more after he had finished the cup. Elvis knew that he had violent tendencies when he was drunk. Now that he had the powers of a beast king, Gu Mengmeng was the only one who could deal with him if he went into a drunken frenzy. Thinking of the possibility of hurting Gu Mengmeng due to losing control, Elvis treated the red wine as poison. He raised his glass repeatedly but not a single drop entered his mouth. After an entire winter of training, Lee's alcohol tolerance could reach 1.5 cups. But in order not to lose control, Gu Mengmeng only gave Lee half a cup of wine, so that he would be slightly tipsy but not drunk. Wabi was the main guest today and naturally wanted to get drunk. So Gu Mengmeng directly poured a large bowl of wine for Wabi. She didn't seem to care about the wine at all. She drank to her heart's content and didn't want to leave until she was drunk. As for Oriton, who came to freeload, Gu Mengmeng really wanted to see how he would look like after his poker face was torn off. Anyway, even if he went crazy, a third-level beast would not be able to do anything, so Gu Mengmeng also gave Oriton a big bowl and filled it to the brim. Gu Mengmeng used a small bamboo cup for herself. She used it a few times, which made her look more elegant. Wabi looked suspiciously at the big bowl in front of him and the glass of wine in Elvis's arms. He tilted his head at Gu Mengmeng. Gu Mengmeng, I say, what are you up to? There's no poison here, right? Gu Mengmeng raised her head. Unless the bowl in front of you is filled with my blood, what else in this world can poison you to death? Don't be a coward, let's drink. Chapter 1331. Although she had never drunk alcohol before, males were naturally not easy to provoke. Gu Mengmeng's generous toast made Wabi unwilling to back down. He raised his bowl and said, "Humph, do you think I'm afraid of you poisoning me? Let me tell you, even if this bowl is filled with your blood, it will not kill me. Bottoms up." With that, he downed the entire bowl. The red liquid flowed down his windpipe and a slight spicy sensation spread throughout his entire body. Wabi felt a sense of comfort that he had never experienced before. His pupils involuntarily narrowed into slits and every cell in his body seemed to be gradually awakening. Wabi felt as though a whole new world had opened up to him. He felt like he was floating in the air, wishing for life and death. Oriton held up the stone bowl and sniffed it. It smelled strange. What he liked was meat. Although the color of the juice made from this kind of sour fruit was very similar to blood, which made him feel a kind of excitement, he could tell that the smell was not right, so he couldn't bring himself to drink it. Leah patted Oriton's shoulder and whispered, "This is Mengmeng's baby, do you see it? She was only willing to give me and Elvis this little bit. You only have such a big bowl because of Wabi. Don't be so ungrateful. Because if you drink it this time, you might not be able to drink it again." Oriton fully believed in Lee's words. So he nodded and imitated Wabi, downing the bowl in one gulp. Then, clang! A tiger fell stiffly to the ground in the same state as Elvis that day. Gu Mengmeng shook her head in exasperation. "I thought I could conquer his poker face. TSK, what a waste of my good wine." Wabi handed the bowl to Gu Mengmeng. "Gu Mengmeng, I want more." Gu Mengmeng turned back to look at Wabi in surprise. She took his bowl and scooped another for him. "I couldn't tell that you have such a high tolerance for alcohol." Wabi's tongue had turned into a forked tongue and he couldn't help sticking it out. He had an extreme desire for the contents of the bowl. After downing another bowl, he was still not satisfied. He handed the bowl back to Gu Mengmeng with the words "Fill it up for me," clearly written on his face. Gu Mengmeng's interest was piqued and she ordered another bowl for Wabi. She even imitated the waiter and said, "Warrior, 3 bowls is not enough." Wabi didn't understand what Gu Mengmeng was saying at all. He clinked his stone bowl against Gu Mengmeng's little bamboo cup and said, "Less nonsense, cheers." Gu Mengmeng raised her glass and said, "I'm happy to accompany you." Hence, Wabi had a big bowl and Gu Mengmeng a small cup. The two of them drank more and more vigorously, causing Leah and Elvis to tremble in fear and excitement. Who knew what Xiao Mengmeng would be like when she was drunk? Would she hug them and act coquettishly, or would she turn into a little devil and whip them? Wabi-Ai and Gu Meng Meng were drinking enthusiastically when Oriton, who had fainted, suddenly stood up stiffly. Glaring at Leah like a tiger watching its prey, he walked in front of Leah with one hand and one leg and clamped onto Lee's shoulder tightly. "Where's the meat? Where's my meat?" Pfft. Gu Meng Meng burst out laughing. The alcohol had magnified her emotions by many times. Looking at the drunk Oriton still chasing after Leah with a poker face, Gu Meng Meng laughed so hard that she was convulsing with joy. Chapter 1332. Gu Meng Meng was already a little tipsy, but Wabi-Ai was still very energetic. Gu Meng Meng rubbed her temples and shook her head. "No, I can't drink anymore." Wabi-Ai hooked his arm around Gu Meng Meng's neck. "You promised to get drunk with me, can you still go back on your words?" She then leaned against the side of the barrel and hooked her finger at Wabi-Ai. "Little shit, I am not a petty person, do you know? I said that I will drink till I'm drunk till I'm drunk till I'm drunk. Come over here, look at this, see, it's all wine. I am a tycoon, do you know that?" Wabi-Ai's eyes widened as he looked at Wabi-Ai and said, "Little shit, I am not a petty person, do you know? I said that I will drink till I'm drunk till I'm drunk till I'm drunk till I'm drunk." Wabi-Ai leaned over to the barrel and took a deep sniff. His face was filled with greed. He looked at Gu Meng Meng. "This is for me." Gu Meng Meng made a "please" gesture. "After you finish this, there's more beside, do you see, there's so much, you can drink as much as you want." Wabi-Ai held on to Gu Meng Meng's shoulders with both hands and knocked his head hard against her forehead. "Gu Meng Meng, you are so loyal. From today onwards, I, little shit, am your friend. Your problems are my problems. I will climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of flames. If I, little shit, even blink, I am your child." Gu Meng Meng changed her tone. She shook her head and corrected herself. "My partners are wolves and foxes. They can't give birth to such a huge worm like you." Wabi-Ai also shook his head. He turned Gu Meng Meng's shoulders around and pointed at the back of her neck. "No, you have a partner from the snake tribe. Look, the mark is here, this mark, it looks so familiar. I seem to have seen it somewhere before." Gu Meng Meng clutched the back of her neck. Realization dawned on her. Yes, I have the mark of the snake tribe on my neck, all right, you are my child from now onwards." Leah and Elvis looked at each other. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry as they watched Gu Meng Meng and Wabi-Ai spout nonsense in all seriousness. Wabi-Ai thought for a moment. "So, you and Snake gave birth to me, then I mated with Snake's mother and became Snake's little daddy, so between Snake and I, who is whose daddy?" Gu Meng Meng seemed to have fallen into a trap. She tried to calculate with her hands. Finally, she smacked her head. "You are my daddy." Wabi-Ai nodded. "All right, I am your daddy." Wabi-Ai nodded. "All right, I am your daddy." Wabi-Ai nodded heavily and said, "All right, father, I will drink first to show my respect." After saying that, he plunged his head into the wine barrel and gulped it down. Elvis poked Leah with his elbow and asked, "So, who exactly is whose daddy now?" Leah face-bombed. "I haven't passed level 4 or 6 in Chinese, so I don't really understand." With that, he walked forward with a smile and hugged Gu Meng Meng in his arms. "He won't be able to finish it in such a short time. Go and sleep for a while." Gu Meng Meng looked at Leah and was stunned for 2 seconds. Then, she raised her arm and gave Leah a slap. "Demon, return my master." Leah was dumbfounded from the beating. He looked at Elvis innocently and asked, "Her master is?" Elvis thought about it and grabbed Oriton, whose face was swollen from Lee's beating, from the side. "I'll take this, I'll make do with it." Leah nodded and dragged Oriton's leg in front of Gu Meng Meng. Come, return your master. Gu Meng Meng did not take it. Instead, she squatted down and stared blankly at Oriton. After a while, she smacked her lips and said, I heard that eating him can make you immortal. In that case, I can accompany my man forever. Why don't the three of us share him and have a taste? Out of topic, who was the one who said that Elvis and Leah had bad alcohol tolerance? Look at these two. I used to have a friend. One time, he drank too much and came out of the bar claiming that he was a pleasant goat. He sprawled on the green belt to eat grass. No one could pull him away and he had a mouthful of mud. The next day, he blamed us for not stopping him. We showed him the video and he said that we couldn't stop him even if we tried. He said, then why didn't you guys shout, Grey Wolf is here? Chapter 1333. Oriton sat up abruptly. As his face was swollen from Lee's slap, he could not speak clearly. Coupled with the effects of the alcohol, his tongue was stiff. He stammered, Eat. Where is it? Where is the food? Meat, my meat. Gu Meng Meng instantly clutched her head and rolled around on the floor. Master, I was wrong, Master. Stop chanting, stop chanting. Ah. With a scream, Gu Meng Meng fainted. Leah and Elvis looked at each other. Elvis carried Gu Meng Meng, who was lying on the ground, and heard her even breathing and light snores. He smiled helplessly and carried her to the bed. Then, he and Leah revealed their original forms and placed her in the middle, one on the left and one on the right. After lying down beside Gu Meng Meng, Elvis suddenly released his beast pressure and Oriton was instantly pressed back to his original form, directly falling onto the ground. Leo was not spared either. Luckily, he had already adjusted his pose and fainted without any qualms. When Gu Meng Meng woke up the next day, Wabi-I was no longer around. Only one barrel of wine was left out of the dozen barrels. Gu Meng Meng stared at the empty barrel and gritted her teeth. She pointed at the door and shouted at the air. Little shit. Just wait and see. See how I will settle the score with you next year. Elvis and Leah rubbed their noses. Neither of them mentioned that it was Gu Meng Meng herself who made Wabi-I drink freely last night. Leah held Gu Meng Meng's shoulders and pinched her angry little face. He asked with a smile, My precious Gu Meng Meng, does your head still hurt? Gu Meng Meng rubbed her own head. It doesn't hurt. Our wine is all natural and doesn't have any additives. I don't get a hangover too often. Leo was not asking about the hangover. But he did not explain. He just pointed at Oriton. Then do you still want to eat him? Do you want to fry him or stew him? Gu Meng Meng tilted her head. She looked at the bruised and swollen Oriton in a daze. Are you crazy? We have so much food at home. Why did you eat Oriton? Leah replied with an innocent face, Weren't you the one who said that eating him would make you immortal and accompany me and Elvis forever? I feel that this future is very beautiful. Sacrificing one Oriton in exchange for the three of us staying together forever. What are you hesitating for? Eat. Gu Meng Meng was shocked. She pointed at her own nose. I said that. Leah nodded. Gu Meng Meng shifted her gaze to Elvis, who also nodded. Gu Meng Meng face-bombed. I thought the alcohol content of the wine wasn't high, so I was very assured. But that little bastard Wabi-I kept teasing me and I couldn't control myself. I drank a little too much. I think I'm blacking out. Scratching her head, Gu Meng Meng asked carefully, other than saying that I wanted to eat Oriton. I didn't say anything else, right? Leo rolled his eyes meaningfully before saying, You talked a lot. For example, discussing who was whose father with Wabi-I. Gu Meng Meng herself could not recall what she had said, but based on the sentence about eating Oratin to make one immortal, the level of nonsense she had spouted should be comparable to strange stories from a Chinese studio. Gu Mengmeng smiled apologetically and said, as the saying goes, don't take drunk words seriously. Leo raised his brows. Didn't you tell me before that drunken people speak the truth after drinking? Chapter 1334. Leo laid sideways beside Gu Mengmeng and played with her hair. How is it embarrassing? You don't even know how adorable you were last night. With that, Leah couldn't help but laugh. I will force you to drink whenever I'm in a bad mood. Seeing you drunk like a cat will make all my worries disappear. So what exactly did she do last night? She had no recollection at all. Elvis and Leah seemed to be teasing her on purpose. The more she asked, the more they refused to answer. They just smiled at her, making her hair stand on end. But this hangover was not without its benefits. At least, that Miranda, who made Gu Mengmeng feel so aggrieved and awkward, was forgotten by Gu Mengmeng just like that. On the 10th day after Wabi left, the first snowfall arrived. Gu Mengmeng leaned on the window sill and watched as Sauter slowly turned from a beautiful and romantic city with its first snowfall into a sweet and beautiful fairy tale cartoon building. Then, the snow sealed off the window. Apart from the faint whistling of the wind, she could not hear anything else. Of course, she didn't know that the bird circling 6,000 meters high in the sky, shuttling through the wind and snow, was so focused that it could see her, who was smaller than a sesame seed, through the layers of wind and snow. Only when her appearance was completely covered by the snow did it reluctantly leave. However, halfway through, it suddenly turned back and stopped outside her window. Folding its wings, it was like a drunken general lying on the battlefield, lying on its back in the snow, letting the sky full of goose feathers bury it alive. Her laughter could be heard in the rustling sound of the snow. That was good. He could get closer to her when she couldn't see him. He soared into the sky. A spirit eagle leapt out of the snow and soared into the 9 heavens. He had to protect her. Even if she didn't need it, even if she didn't know, he had to do something for her. Only then would he be able to suppress his restless heart. If his body was tired enough, he might be able to sleep tonight. Gu Mengmeng, who was in the stone castle, was completely unaware of what was happening outside. Because of her, the stray beasts did not dare to approach this place. This made her feel at ease. After all, other than the stray beasts who wanted to snatch the tribe's food, who would go out in such weather? Cupping her cheek, Gu Mengmeng tapped her own face lightly with her fingers. Don't you guys feel that Cole has been too quiet for the past year? Is it good that he doesn't bother you? Leah replied to Gu Mengmeng as he took out a piece of beast skin from the side and made Gu Mengmeng's bed softer. Then, he carried Gu Mengmeng onto the bed and added, it's just the start of winter and the weather is getting colder. Don't be greedy or you might fall sick. Gu Mengmeng did not resist and allowed Leah to carry her up and place her on the bed. Meanwhile, Elvis sat behind her calmly and stretched out his long arms, pulling her into his embrace. It's not that I'm not good. It's just that he's a pervert who can't stand others doing well. I feel especially uneasy when he suddenly changed his personality and stopped finding trouble with me. Look, Qi Xian and Kanwo even specially came over to remind me to be careful. But other than throwing Miranda at me, Cole didn't do anything else. And that Miranda was easily locked up by us and will be sent away next year. Why is it so easy to resolve? Why is it so unlike Cole's style? Chapter 1335. Thinking about it, Gu Mengmeng nodded and did not dwell on it any further. As Sauter had a secret passageway, Gu Mengmeng did not feel bored during the winter. She often used the secret passageway to look for Sandy or Hedda and Jiaoyu. Such comfortable days passed by for half a month. This day, Gu Mengmeng woke up as usual, ate as usual and prepared to pass through the secret passageway to look for Sandy. But she realized that Leah was blocking the entrance of the secret passageway and not letting her in. He even used layers of beast skin to seal the entrance. Lee's expression was not right and he looked very agitated. Leah. What's wrong? Gu Mengmeng was a little worried and went forward to help Leah up. She was shocked. Leah, why is your body so hot? Are you sick? Leah shook his head and blocked the entrance with all his might. I'm fine. Go to the second floor to rest. Be good. Gu Mengmeng frowned. Leah did not look like he was fine. But his words meant that he did not want her to know about something. Leah never hid anything from her. What's wrong? Tell me, we can think of a solution together. Leah frowned and looked straight into Gu Mengmeng's eyes. Seeing her determined and worried look, he smiled bitterly. I know what Cole wants to do. Ha! Gu Mengmeng did not understand. It was already winter. Even if Cole was from the Snow Fox tribe, he could not roam outside for a long time. Moreover, as a stray beast, he was afraid of Gu Mengmeng. How could he appear at this time to cause trouble? Leah clenched his teeth and said hatefully, This year is the year when the females of the Snow Fox tribe collectively go into estrus. After Leah said that, he glanced at the entrance of the secret passageway. His meaning was self-evident. The females of the Snow Fox tribe had already gone into estrus. Leah was afraid that Gu Mengmeng would be affected, so he sealed the entrance tightly with beast skin. Ah yeah, open the door. A weak voice came from behind the door. Gu Mengmeng listened carefully and realized that there were already many obscene sounds forming. Miranda was probably the only one who dared to call Leah Aya. Save me. Aya, save me. Do you want me to experience what happened in the past again? Miranda's voice became shrill with fear and despair. She wailed at the top of her lungs, Aya, I beg you. Save me. Open the door and let me hide. No. Don't touch me. I don't want to. Don't touch me. Aya, save me. Ah. Gu Mengmeng frowned and said, Open the door, I will go in. Leah hugged Gu Mengmeng and said, No way, the males and females inside have all lost their senses. What if you go in and bump into them? Gu Mengmeng said, I am the Beast King. I can directly release my beast pressure when I enter and suppress them all. That won't do. I won't take any risks. Lee's eyes were bloodshot. He was also from the Snow Fox tribe and would definitely be affected by the group estrus. In the past, he managed to avoid it when he left his hometown, but now that he was so close to it, it was impossible for him to remain indifferent. He also had a natural yearning for that maze, just like how all the wolves yearned for Elvis. It was an instinct to get close to it. But for Gu Mengmeng, he was trying his best to resist this instinct. Chapter 1336. Leah frowned and bit down on his lower lip. Gu Mengmeng was not as ruthless as he was, and he already knew that. He could turn a blind eye to Miranda's pleas for help, but Gu Mengmeng could not. Just as Leah had said, he was not a kind person. Apart from Gu Mengmeng, he did not care about anyone else. But Gu Mengmeng had a kind nature, and could not stand to see someone being humiliated in front of her without doing anything. Nodding, Leah looked at Elvis and said, Be careful. Elvis tore off the beast skin blocking the entrance and pushed open the door. At the same time, Leah punched the snow sealing the entrance of the stone castle, allowing air to flow in. In an instant, the entire house was filled with the fox's seductive fragrance along with the chilly wind, engulfing this originally warm and cozy place. Elvis stepped into the secret tunnel and released his beast pressure with a shake of his body. Instantly, there was complete silence. Because the secret tunnel was winding, the beast pressure could not spread very far, so only the orcs within a certain range were affected. The concentration of the fox's seductive fragrance was too high, and even Elvis could not withstand it for long. So, he only carried Miranda out and quickly retreated out of the secret tunnel. Then, he closed the door of the secret tunnel and sealed it up with layers of beast skin. The silence did not last for long before waves of exhaustion came again. The beast skin that Miranda was wearing had long been torn to pieces. In just a short period of time, her body was covered in bruises, as if she had been ravaged by someone. There was some dirt on her body, probably from some male who had already done it but had not finished venting. She transformed her tail to cover her body and curled up in a corner of the room, shivering. She looked at Leah with her charming peach blossom eyes, looking extremely pitiful. Go upstairs and turn left. The room at the very end is empty. Go in yourself and close the door. Don't come out again. Or else, I will either throw you back into the secret tunnel or throw you outside. Gu Meng Meng gritted her teeth and said. Miranda looked at Gu Meng Meng with bloodshot eyes and laughed coldly. All right, don't you just want to imprison me? I'm used to being imprisoned anyway, so you don't have to threaten me like this. I'll obediently be imprisoned by you and let you enjoy torturing me. But I wish you good luck. I wish that you will never be detested by Aya. Otherwise, what happened to me today will be your tomorrow. Don't think that he belongs to you just because you mate with him. There is no such thing as loyalty in the Snow Fox clan. With that, Miranda dragged her broken body up the stairs and followed Gu Mingming's instructions to the left. She walked to the room at the end and closed the door, locking herself inside. Gu Meng Meng really wanted to slap herself. It was not like she had never heard of the story of the farmer and the snake. How could she not understand such a simple logic? All the pitiful people in the world must have a detestable side. Moreover, this mass estrus had been a secret of the Snow Fox clan for thousands of years. Why did she have to get involved and interfere? He had no choice but to get himself into trouble, but with her character, she just could not turn a deaf ear to those pitiful cries for help. Meng Meng. Li's body was getting hotter and hotter as he hugged Gu Meng Meng. His gaze started to blur and he called out to Gu Meng Meng. Meng Meng, I feel terrible. I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself, knock me out. I can't hold it in anymore. Meng Meng. Meng Meng, I feel terrible. Chapter 1337. Gu Mingming's heart tightened as she asked, Are you also affected by the fox's seductive fragrance? Elvis nodded his head awkwardly and said, The purity is too high, I can't resist it. Damn it, she couldn't even resist when the two of them were deeply in love. Now that she was seduced by the fox's seductive fragrance, if they really went crazy, she would die in bed. She didn't care about anything else as she had the power of a beast king to protect her body and she would recover after a few days. But the problem was that the females of the Snow Fox tribe would go into estrus for a month and when she fainted, there was still Miranda upstairs. Who knew if someone else would jump out from the secret tunnel? Gu Meng Meng gritted her teeth and hardened her heart to knock Leah out first. Elvis panted heavily as he walked towards Gu Meng Meng step by step. He pulled Gu Mingming's hand and placed it on his chest and said, My heart, you have touched it once before. You should know where it is, right? What are you doing? Gu Meng Meng had a bad premonition. Elvis's forehead was full of sweat but he forced a smile and said, If I lose control and do anything to betray or hurt you, dig out my heart and eat it. That way, you will have 2 drops of tear of the beast deity. With the support of 2 beast kings, you will not have to worry under any circumstances. Do you remember? Elvis. Calm down. Gu Meng Meng roared. Elvis shook his head with all his might, as if he wanted to shake off the turbid thoughts in his head. But it was a pity that he could not do so. The more he shook, the more blurred his vision became. His body was boiling and he could not control it at all. His breathing became heavier and heavier and his chest was burning with pain from his heavy breathing. Something seemed to be tumbling in his throat and his mouth felt parched. Gu Meng Meng placed Leah at the side and held Elvis's face with both hands. She said, "Hubby, look at me. I am Xiao Meng's partner." Xiao Meng, Xiao Meng. Elvis hugged Gu Meng Meng tightly in his arms. His entire body was trembling and his consciousness was slowly fading away. All that was left was his primitive desire. "If only I am not a beast king, then you can knock me out like how you did with Leah. At least I will not hurt you." Xiao Meng, Xiao Meng, Gu Meng Meng took the initiative to kiss Elvis's lips and forced a calm smile. "It's all right, nothing will happen to you. Was it just the fox seductive fragrance? You just want me, don't you? I'll give it to you. I'll satisfy you. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Don't worry, okay?" Elvis's eyes were bloodshot as he hugged Gu Meng Meng tightly. On one hand, it was to appease his own emotions, and on the other hand, it was to restrict himself from doing anything more overboard. He clenched his teeth and said, "I can't have you in this situation. I can't control myself, you will get hurt. If I want to hurt you, I'd rather you cut out my heart and kill me now. It's not that serious, hubby. It's okay, it's just mating. We're partners. It's normal for me to mate with you. I trust you. You won't hurt me." Moreover, it did not matter even if he was injured or in pain. As long as she endured it, Elvis would regain his consciousness once the effects of the fox's seductive fragrance on him wore off. He would not kill her after all. Chapter 1338. Once the wall collapsed, a huge layer of snow poured into the stone castle, almost burying Gu Meng Meng alive. This change was too sudden and Gu Meng Meng stood rooted to the ground, not knowing how to react. However, in a split second, a black shadow came over and Gu Meng Meng felt that she was being protected by something. Then, she heard the sound of snow crashing down. Gu Meng Meng did not regain her senses for a long time, until a familiar voice came from above her head, "Scared silly." Gu Meng Meng looked up and stared blankly for a while, before saying, "Gregory. Gregory. Didn't you return to Moda Mountains? Why are you here?" Gregory sighed and did not answer Gu Meng Meng's question. Instead, he opened his wings forcefully and pushed the accumulated snow to the sides. Gu Meng Meng then realized that Gregory had wrapped his wings around her, using his body as a bomb shelter to protect her. Before she could thank him, Gu Meng Meng hurriedly dug the snow at the side, shouting as she dug, "Elvis! Elvis! Leah! Leah!" Gregory did not say a word and just used his wings to sweep the snow away for her. Then, he pulled out the unconscious Elvis and Leah from the snow. "It's not safe to stay here for long, do you have any other plans?" Gregory looked at Gu Meng Meng and asked. Gu Meng Meng hesitated for a while. She wanted to say that she could return to Saint Nazaire, but the snow had been falling for almost a month and Saint Nazaire had long been buried in the snow. Not to mention that Gregory did not know where Saint Nazaire was. Even if he knew, she would not be able to find her cave in the snow. Gregory looked at Gu Meng Meng's hesitant look and asked, "Why not? Follow me to Moda Mountains." Gu Meng Meng looked up at Gregory and asked, "Can I?" Gregory chuckled and said, "Aren't you the messenger of the beast deity? Aren't the rules set by you in the beast world?" Gu Meng Meng smiled helplessly. The situation before her was really terrible enough. No matter how she looked at it, she looked like a downtrodden Cinderella. How did she look like the high and mighty messenger of the beast deity? Raising her head, Gu Meng Meng combed her messy hair and patted the beast skin on her, saying, "Yes, I am the messenger of the beast deity, I set the rules in the beast world. If the beast deity gets angry because you brought me up the mountain without permission, I'll take the blame. After all, I'm the only daughter of the beast deity, my father will always open the back door for me." Gregory stretched out his hand, wanting to touch Gu Mingming's head, but his hand froze in mid-air and did not touch her. He turned around and landed by his side, then turned around and spread his wings, saying, "Come up." Gu Mengmeng was a little hesitant. This isn't good, right? Being on the back was a very sacred ritual. In the relationship between the sexes in the beast world, a male's last dignity was his own back. Many males would die for their female without blinking an eye, but they would never allow her to ride on their backs. Sandy and Colin had been partners for several years, but until now, Colin had never carried Sandy on his back. Ian had carried Gu Mengmeng on his back once and almost threatened to kill himself to make Gu Mengmeng swear not to tell anyone about it. Chapter 1339. Gu Mengmeng was extremely cold. Under such circumstances, she could not continue being unreasonable. If she hesitated any longer, she would not need to ascend the Moda Mountains as she would be frozen into a human-shaped popsicle. Hence, Gu Mengmeng climbed onto Gregory's back without another word. Gregory waited for Gu Mengmeng to settle down before transforming into his beast form and soaring into the sky. After transforming into a beast, Gregory's body was covered with a layer of feathers. Gu Mengmeng sank into his feathers and she could feel Gregory's body temperature through the layer of fine fur. The first time he flapped his wings, Gu Mengmeng could feel the strong and forceful movement of the muscles on his back. There was a feeling of clogging in her ears, probably caused by the sudden increase in air pressure. It was similar to the feeling when sitting on a plane. Gu Mengmeng did not know how high up in the sky she was, nor did she know which tribe she was standing on. She was clearly not very familiar with Gregory, but such a broad back undeniably gave Gu Mengmeng a sense of security. Gu Mengmeng laid her face sideways on Gregory's back. As it was really too cold outside, she could only keep moving closer to him, seeking the warmth from his body. Such behavior was not appropriate, but Gu Mengmeng could not withstand the cold, nor could she resist the temptation of warmth. Biting her lower lip, Gu Mengmeng said, "That. Gregory, don't worry. I will definitely not tell anyone about me being on your back. If one day someone finds out and other females find you unfaithful, I will take responsibility and introduce you to a wife." Gregory's eyes darkened. Luckily he was in his beast form now and Gu Mengmeng could not see his expression, so he could try his best to be sad and upset. He really wanted to tell her that being responsible was not this way. His back could only accommodate her alone. If she really wanted to take responsibility for him, she should have taken him in as a partner. But he could not say that, right? If he said it, she might just run away. He should be content with the current situation. At least, he had played the role of her hero when she was in danger. She was lying on his back now, soft and light. Every breath she took was like a light tap on his heart, making his blood boil. She must not know that the warmth she was craving now was all because of her. After flying for a full 3 days and 3 nights, Gregory stopped at the edge of a cave on a cliff. Gu Mengmeng finally landed on the ground. She could not even stand properly and sat down at the side. Elvis and Leah had already woken up halfway through the journey, but they did not speak. Both of them saw Gu Mengmeng coming down from Gregory's back, but chose to ignore it as if they had a tacit understanding. When Joshua and Victor confessed to Gu Mengmeng, the two of them could question Gu Mengmeng in a fit of jealousy because they knew very well that Gu Mengmeng did not fancy those two fellows. So no matter how they asked, they would only get the answer they wanted. But Gregory was different. His looks did not lose to Leah and his abilities did not lose to Elvis. With his physique, it was very likely that he would rise 2 levels after mating. This kind of love rival was not to be underestimated. Elvis and Leah were both extremely afraid of hearing Gu Mingming's affirmation, so they chose not to ask. Chapter 1340. Gregory did not say a word. He just shook his wings and flew out again. When he returned, other than wood, there were also a few frozen birds. The food here is not as abundant as on land. Let's just make do with our hunger. Gregory's tone was calm. He was not overly solicitous, nor did he have the intention to curry favor with Elvis and Leah. He was just very calm. When Gregory went out to find wood, Leah had already expanded and deepened the cave. Now that there was a fire, it gradually warmed up. Gu Mengmeng peeked out from Elvis's body and looked around. This is the Moda Mountains? Gregory nodded. This is one of the secondary peaks of the Moda Mountains. It's at the border. Very few people come here usually. Gu Mengmeng nodded. That. I haven't thanked you yet. I've troubled you this time. But why did you appear in Sauder? Didn't you return to the Moda Mountains a long time ago? Gregory lowered his head to avoid Gu Mingming's gaze. I had something to do and just happened to pass by. Gu Mengmeng wanted to ask him what he had to do in this damn cold weather. But after thinking about it, what right did she have to ask such questions? Gregory was her benefactor who saved her. He was not her prisoner or her partner. He had no obligation to answer to her. So she nodded to show that she understood. Then, she smiled sweetly. No matter what, I have to thank you. If you hadn't appeared at the right time, I wouldn't know what to do. Gregory hesitated for 2 seconds. It's nothing. Don't mention it. Elvis and Leah exchanged glances. Their expressions were unfriendly. Both of them were by Gu Mingming's side. But they let her fall into such a helpless situation and did nothing. That gave Gregory a chance to show his kindness. Now that this fellow mentioned mating, the two of them did not even have the right to object. From a logical point of view, it was always a good thing to have someone in the family who could fly. Moreover, Gregory was powerful and devoted to Gu Mengmeng. He was a good choice. But the problem was, foxes and wolves were extremely selfish when it came to relationships. No matter how many benefits there were, they were unwilling to have another male in their family. There were no cooking utensils in the cave, so Leah could only roast the birds that Gregory had brought back on the fire after cleaning them. When he was digging the cave, he dug out a large green brick and used it to dig out a small basin. He filled it with snow and placed it by the fire to roast it, allowing the snow to melt into water. On one hand, it moistened the air in the cave, and on the other hand, it kept the water warm for Gu Mengmeng to drink. Although the barbecue will be hot and flammable, there's nothing better right now. Just put up with it for now. Once we return to Sauder, I will cook something delicious for you. Gu Mengmeng took the roasted bird from Leah and smelled it. It smelled really good. Grace had carried her on the flight for 3 days, and she hadn't eaten for 3 days. Her stomach was rumbling with hunger, and when she was on Grace's back, she almost fainted. Just as she was about to take a bite, she remembered that the 4 people sitting here had not eaten for 3 days. Everyone was hungry, and it didn't seem right for her to eat alone. Chapter 1341. You can eat it yourself, I'm not hungry. Gregory replied calmly. Actually, he did not tell Gu Mengmeng that food was scarce in Moda Mountains and these few birds could be her entire food supply for the entire winter. After eating these, he could only tear off his own legs to feed her. He had to keep his wings or else he would not be able to send her back tomorrow after winter ends. If she was a legless bird in the future, she could only fly in the sky non-stop. Gu Meng Meng looked at the bird leg in her hands and then at Elvis and Leah. She smiled helplessly. Perhaps it was because Elvis and Leah had taken too good care of her that she had almost forgotten that the winter season in the beast world was also known as the season of death. Before she came here, the females even survived by eating their own partners. Food, in this environment, was so precious. And how could the males bear to share the food of the females? That was equivalent to taking the lives of the females. Sighing, Gu Meng Meng said, I know you are worried about the problem of food, but I only need to stay here for a month. After a month, we can return to Sauder. There is still plenty of food stored in my stone castle and we won't starve to death. But if you don't eat, how are you going to fly the three of us back after a month? You are the most important one among us now and we cannot afford any mishaps. Leah nodded and said, that's the logic. If there isn't enough food, you can eat me first. If I can't last for a month after you eat me, then eat Elvis. As long as you can promise to take good care of Gu Meng Meng and bring her back to the land safely, it will be fine. Gu Meng Meng twisted Li's ear and said with a black face, how many times have I said this? Ha! I don't eat partners. I'm not a pervert. Aw. I was wrong, good Gu Meng Meng, don't be angry at me. Leah tilted his head and fell into Gu Meng Meng's arms, using his large furry tail to wrap around her waist. He smiled and said, I won't spout nonsense anymore, forgive me, huh? Gu Meng Meng nodded reluctantly and said, I'll let you off this time. Leo leaned his face forward and said, don't be angry at me, just one kiss. Give me a kiss and I'll believe that you've forgiven me. Gu Meng Meng chuckled and kissed Li's face. Leah said contentedly, I knew my baby Meng Meng is the best. Don't try to bewitch me. If you dare say something like that again, I'll wring your ears off. Leah nodded, as if he did not dare to disobey her. He vowed solemnly, I will not speak nonsense again. That's more like it. Leah took over the bird leg from Gu Meng Meng's hands and passed it to Gregory, smiling, I was just joking just now, you don't have to worry about the food. Although it's not convenient for us to return to Sauder now, there are people in Zacharias and Saint Nazir who have prepared food reserves for Meng Meng. It's just that you'll have to bring me back to retrieve the food. Gu Meng Meng tilted her head. Why would Zacharias and Saint Nazir have my food reserves? Did you and Elvis prepare it? Chapter 1342. Although the leader of Zacharias is Burke, don't forget that the real decision-makers are Kanwu and Qi Xian. Kanwu may be rash but he treats you well from the bottom of his heart. Qi Xian is also someone who is used to being prepared. With the two of them together, I'm afraid they have prepared enough food for the three of us to kill our way over. Leo waved his tail and said calmly. Gu Meng Meng looked enlightened. Since that's the case, let's return to Zacharias now. I want to be with Kanwu and Qi Xian. Gregory's face darkened at Gu Meng Meng's words, but he quickly regained his composure and pretended that nothing had happened. He thought that he would be able to spend at least another month with her this time. But she was going to leave so soon, even though he had already tried his best not to cause trouble for her, not to let his feelings become a burden to her, and even tried his best to reduce his presence, but she still had to leave. Leah shook his head and grinned. Since we are already at Moda Mountains, how can we return empty-handed? Gu Meng Meng's lips twitched. You won't. We didn't prepare anything and you want to go up Moda Mountains to retrieve the love of the sky. Leah hugged Gu Meng Meng and kissed her. Then when you retrieve the kiss of the ocean, soul of the forest and heart of the desert, what else did you prepare other than yourself, Elvis and me? Gu Meng Meng, that made so much sense that she was speechless. Instinctively, she glanced at Gregory. After all, in this situation, not to mention retrieving the love of the sky, they had to rely on him to get out of this cave. Even if there were 4 people in this cave, 2 beast kings and 1 4th-level beast. The one who had the absolute authority in this environment was Gregory, a 3rd-level beast. Receiving Gu Mingming's gaze, Gregory did not speak and just stared back at her calmly. Gu Mengmeng did not know why she had suddenly entered a game where the person who blinked first would lose. But in the end, she could not win against Gregory with her glare and gave up first. She lowered her head and said, "Although I am not in a position to make any requests now, I really want the love of the sky. Can you help me, please?" Gregory replied, "All right." Gu Mengmeng looked up at Gregory in astonishment. His eyes were still as calm as ever, without a trace of emotion. What Gu Mengmeng could not see through was the agitated heart beneath that pair of calm eyes. Gregory hid it very well. He could not reveal what was on his mind, or else she would only run even faster and further away. She was most defenseless in front of him when he had just arrived at Sauter and made it clear that he hated her. The days when they didn't like each other were the days when they got along the most. Gregory thought that he might be crazy. Otherwise, why would he miss the past him who hated her so much? If he couldn't really hate her, then he should at least pretend to be good enough to let her stay for a few more days, right? You're straightforward, but I'm not in a hurry either. If you have any requests, just tell me. I will try my best to satisfy them. After all, it's hard to repay a debt of gratitude. If it drags on for too long, it'll be troublesome instead. Gu Mengmeng said heroically. Chapter 1343. Gu Mengmeng thought about it and felt that Gregory's words made sense, so she nodded in agreement without another word. She then asked, "Then when can you bring me to get the love of the sky?" Gregory slowly heaved a sigh of relief and said, "The dry season." Gu Mengmeng calculated with her fingers, "Wouldn't that be another half a year?" Gregory said, "You keep saying that you want to find the love of the sky, but you actually don't even know what it is, right?" Gu Mengmeng smiled awkwardly but still nodded honestly. Gregory chuckled and his lips curled into a doting smile. After realizing himself, he immediately retracted his smile and said with a serious expression, "Legend has it that 1,000 years ago, a bird tribe fell in love with a walking beast. During the dry season, the walking beast fell into misery due to a lack of water and kept fighting with other orcs, using their blood to quench his thirst. But during the latter half of the dry season, he could not even suck a mouthful of blood out of an orc after biting it to death. Seeing that the walking beast was about to die of thirst, the bird carried an ice cube down from the Moda Mountains to give it to the walking beast. But before the ice could reach the foot of the mountain, it would melt, and by the time it reached the side of the walking beast, not even a drop would be left. The walking beast was on his last breath due to the lack of water. The bird could not bear to see him die just like that, so he disregarded the rules of the tribe and brought the walking beast up the Moda Mountains. The ice melted into water, nourishing the walking beast's dry body but also freezing his heart. He bared his ferocious fangs at the bird and said, "Since you love me so much, you can't bear to see me starve to death on this mountain, right?" Gu Mingming's face twitched. Wasn't this the story of the farmer and the snake? Such a beautiful love story, why did it suddenly turn dark and twisted? Gu Mingming's heart was filled with malice. Gregory continued, "The bird was heartbroken and nodded with tears in his eyes, saying, 'I was infatuated with the wrong person. If you want to eat me, then eat me.'" But the walking beast did not really hurt the bird. The walking beast did not really hurt the bird. The reason why he said that was because someone told him that the bird had broken the rules of the tribe by bringing him up the mountain and would be punished by the gods. The only solution was to kill the walking beast personally to show his repentance. The walking beast knew that it couldn't do it to the bird, so it pretended to be merciless to provoke the bird. All of this is a test given by the bird tribe to the walking beasts. They want to see if he is sincere to the bird tribe and is worthy of the bird tribe's lifelong commitment. Gu Mengmeng felt that she had eaten a mouthful of dog blood and her facial nerves were a little out of order. Gregory took in all of Gu Mengmeng's reactions. Even the slightest change in her expression was so vivid and full of energy. She was really adorable. Not daring to reveal too much emotion, Gregory forced himself to turn his face to the other side and continued, "The land beasts have passed the test of the birds and can stay on the Moda Mountains with the birds. But Moda Mountains were filled with precipitous cliffs. Beasts without wings living here were like living in a prison. The bird couldn't bear to see him suffer like this, so it suggested going down the mountain with the walking beast. However, there are treasures on Moda Mountains that are coveted by the beast world. Once the birds leave the mountain, there is a high possibility that they will be used by others to steal the treasures on the mountain, so..." Gregory's gaze darkened. He turned back to look at Gu Mengmeng and said, "The birds need to leave behind a pair of wings when they go down the mountain." Gu Mengmeng covered her mouth in shock. Wasn't that equivalent to chopping off a person's arms? It was too cruel. Chapter 1344. Gu Mengmeng did not expect the story to unfold like this. She thought the story would end when the beasts attacked the birds. After thinking for a while, Gu Mengmeng continued asking, "Then, what happened after that?" "After that?" Gregory looked back at Gu Mengmeng and gave a light smile. "There was nothing after that. She broke her own wings and was no longer part of the bird tribe. As for the affairs of other tribes, we have always been indifferent to them." Gu Mengmeng nodded. Gu Mengmeng thought for a while and nodded. Not disturbing is also a form of gentleness. Gregory did not say anything. He just lowered his head and pondered over Gu Mengmeng's words. He was indeed not a gentle person. Gu Mengmeng leaned against the wall and thought for a long time. But she realized that Gregory did not answer her crucial question. So she asked again, "But, since the wings are right there, why do we have to wait until the dry season to retrieve them?" Gregory said calmly, "The Moda Mountains are snowy all year round and the snow is extremely thick. The love of the sky is hidden under the snow and is one with the snow. Even if the vultures can travel through the snow, they will not be able to find its location. So we can only wait until the dry season is the hottest. The snow on the Moda Mountains will melt temporarily. Only then can we see the love of the sky. Moreover, it is only at that time that you can obtain it." Gu Mengmeng tilted her head and asked, "What do you mean?" Gregory said, "The love of the sky is the source of the wind. The colder the weather, the stronger the wind. Even I will be blown away when I get close to it during the winter. And if you get close to the eye of the wind, there will be fine ice shards in the snow. Not to mention your soft and tender skin, even your wolf partner will be shaved off by the ice shards before he can even get close to the love of the sky. Even his bones will be crushed and blown away by the wind. So, you can only wait until the dry season when the snow melts. Only then can you get close to the love of the sky. As for whether you can take it away, I can't guarantee it. After all, in the past 1,000 years, no one has been to the Moda Mountains, and no one has even gotten close to the love of the sky." Gu Mengmeng's mouth twitched as she listened. Being sliced by ice sounded like an alarmist story, but Gregory had a face of abstinence and everything he said strangely gave people a sense of authority, making them have no choice but to believe it. After hesitating for a while, Gu Mengmeng thought for a while and said, "Since that's the case, why do we still need to stay in the Moda Mountains? Why don't we go back to St. Nazir or Zacharias for the winter? Should we come again during the dry season?" Leah and Elvis exchanged glances before smiling. "We will naturally listen to you. We will do whatever you say." But, the matter of going back and forth still depended on Gregory's wishes. After all, we don't have wings, right? Gu Mengmeng used her gaze to ask Gregory, but he did not seem to understand and just continued to stare at her, as if he was going to stare at her until the end of time if Gu Mengmeng did not speak to him. Gu Mengmeng cleared her throat and asked awkwardly, "That. Gregory, can I trouble you to send me to Saint Nazir or Zacharias?" "No," Grace answered neatly. "Why?" Gu Mengmeng blurted out. Gregory looked at Gu Mengmeng quietly for 2 seconds before asking, "On what basis?" Gu Mengmeng choked. Chapter 1345. Gregory sighed deeply, then stood up and walked to the entrance of the cave. With his back facing Gu Mengmeng, he said, "You guys can leave by yourselves if you want to, I won't stop you." After he finished speaking, he spread his wings and flew away, disappearing into the snowstorm. The location of this cave was very special. There was a protruding rock above the entrance of the cave, causing the accumulated snow to be unable to block the entrance of the cave. Hence, Elvis and Leah dug out more space in the cave. After making a few turns, the cold wind could no longer blow directly at Gu Mengmeng. Moreover, Elvis and Leah always maintained their original forms to hug Gu Mengmeng and block the wind for her, so Gu Mengmeng did not feel particularly cold. But, no matter how much space she had to move around, Gu Mengmeng still felt like she was in a prison. Although she had also been cooped up in a cave for the entire winter in Saint Nazir, but staying in her own house and being trapped were two different concepts. Leo leaned against the entrance of the cave and looked down. He shook his head with a bitter smile and said, "At this height, if we want to dig all the way down, we will probably have to dig until the next messenger of the beast deity dies." Gu Mengmeng pouted unhappily and said, "Why is this Gregory so weird? How can he fall out with us so easily? I thought he was a good person after he saved us." Elvis caressed Gu Mengmeng's little face and kissed her furrowed brows. He said, "The males in the beast world are all good partners, but none of them are good people. The good people that you think can never survive in the beast world." Gu Mengmeng twitched her lips and thought about it. Her little face fell and she said, "Then what should we do now?" He flew away just like that. "We don't know how to fly, let alone return to Saint Nazir, we can't even leave this place." Leah swayed his tail and said, "Don't worry, he won't let us starve to death here." Gu Mengmeng mumbled, "But I don't want to spend the winter here." Elvis pinched Gu Mengmeng's little face and said, "Don't be angry, there will always be a way." Gregory had trapped Gu Mengmeng here because he wanted to stay by her side for a while longer and find a chance to nurture their relationship. He liked Gu Mengmeng, so he would definitely not hurt her. The only ones in danger were probably Elvis and Leah, the two males. After all, their deaths would be the most advantageous situation for Gregory. The plan did not need to be too complicated. As long as Gregory did not appear for a long period of time and did not send food over, Elvis and Leah would definitely kill themselves and cook themselves into delicacies for Gu Mengmeng so that she would not starve to death. Then, after Gu Mengmeng had eaten Elvis and Leah and was starved to the extreme, Gregory would appear again and he would be able to possess Gu Mengmeng effortlessly. In the beast world, it was not news that a man would resort to unscrupulous means to mate with a female he liked. Furthermore, Elvis and Leah would not accuse Gregory of being despicable because of this. Wooing his own female depended entirely on his own abilities. If the two of them were to die here, they could only lament that they were not as skilled as others. Leah chuckled, not at all concerned about Gregory's possible choice. As long as Gu Mengmeng was safe, he did not mind much about his own life and death. Moreover, the above methods might be effective on other females but not on Gu Mengmeng. Chapter 1346. Moreover, as long as either he or Elvis was injured, Gu Mengmeng would definitely blame it on Gregory. By then, forget about mating. As long as Gregory dared to appear, Gu Mengmeng would capture him and skin him alive. Yeah, that was not a good memory. After experiencing Snake's death, Leah and Elvis swore that they would never let Gu Meng Meng face their deaths unless they had no other choice. For this weak little female, the two of them who were known for their ruthlessness had actually learned to be afraid of death. Since they could not get out, Elvis pulled Gu Meng Meng's little hand and said, "Xiao Meng, there's something, you should answer me soon." "Huh?" Gu Meng Meng tilted her head and looked at Elvis in confusion. Elvis took a deep breath and said, "I remember that when you first arrived at Saint Nazaire, you kept calling me old godmother. I asked you the reason and you said you had become dumb for 3 years after pregnancy, so you forgot. Now that Heda and his brothers are already 3 years old, you should be out of your stupor. Shouldn't you answer me what old godmother is?" Gu Meng Meng was stunned for a moment, then instinctively covered her mouth with both her hands and shook her head with widened eyes. Damn it, she could not say that. If Elvis knew that old godmother was the corresponding form of address for Daddy Leah, and that it was a submissive one, Elvis would probably carry her and jump down the cave. Seeing Gu Meng Meng's reaction, Elvis only chuckled. It had been 3 years, and he already had a certain understanding of her strange words. In fact, he already knew what Lao godmother meant. But she was not in a good mood because she was trapped here, so Elvis could only use this topic to divert her attention. Teasing her was an extremely interesting thing. Elvis held on to one of Gu Meng Meng's wrists and said softly, "I remember that when Sandy was giving birth, you said you were going to call Joseph and his brothers godsons when you were guarding the cave, so they should call you." Gu Meng Meng's body went limp and she hung into Elvis's arms. Her voice rose by an octave, almost as if it was a voice changer. "Hubby, a man should have his own cleavage and shouldn't be bothered by the small details, don't you think so?" Elvis raised his brows and looked at Gu Meng Meng, smiling without a word. Gu Meng Meng swallowed her saliva, then smiled and said, "Moreover, who hasn't been young and ignorant before? Hubby, you are so magnanimous, don't argue with a little girl like me. It's shameful to act cute." Elvis smiled indulgently, tapping Gu Meng Meng's little nose lightly. Gu Meng Meng stuck out her tongue and rubbed her face against Elvis's chest. "But it's useful. Don't use it on outsiders." Elvis's words meant that he had agreed to let her off. Gu Meng Meng hurriedly nodded and said, "I only do this to you and Leah, I don't need to do this to outsiders. If anyone dares to provoke me, I will just slap him to the ground and make him unable to get up." Looking at Gu Meng Meng's fierce look, Elvis felt that she was so adorable. He hugged and kissed her, saying, so imposing." Elvis and Leah did not eat the birds that Gregory sent over, because with their appetites, these few birds were not even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. But they were enough to support Gu Meng Meng for 4 to 5 days. Chapter 1347. Looking at the thing in Gregory's hands, Gu Meng Meng was dumbfounded. Isn't this the wine barrel I placed in solder?" Gu Meng Meng looked up at Gregory in surprise. Gregory placed the wine barrel at the side, then opened the lid and said, "I have brought back some of the prey that you stored in solder." Gu Meng Meng remembered that when they flew from Solder to Moda Mountains, Gregory brought her, Elvis and Leah and flew for 3 days without rest. So during the 6 days Gregory disappeared, he went to Solder to get food for her. Gu Meng Meng lowered her head as she thought about how she scolded Gregory for the past 2 days. She felt rather guilty. Gu Meng Meng had not eaten for a day, so the moment Gregory placed the food down, the first thing Leah did was to check the food. After confirming that there was no problem, he immediately started to prepare it. Gregory looked at Elvis and Leah and said, "You two can eat together." Elvis and Leah turned back to look at Gregory with obvious questions on their faces. Gregory said, "I met a crippled snow fox in Solder. He gave me all these food." Crippled snow fox, Gu Meng Meng frowned. Cole went to Solder again. Damn it, he's really haunting me. No way, Heda, Jiaoyu and Sandy are all in Solder. I have to go back. I have to go back now. Gregory took out a comb made from the horns of a gigantic beast. That fox asked me to pass this to you. He said he will guard Solder for you. When you return this to him. As long as this thing is intact, the solder he returns to you will be intact. In other words, if this stupid comb was damaged, Solder would suffer a similar loss. If it was lost, he would massacre the entire Solder tribe. Gu Meng Meng said, "Haha, this Cole is so arrogant. Could it be that he ate stinky tofu that was left overnight? He has to have the ability to massacre the entire tribe of Solder." Leah took the comb from Gregory's hands and gently stroked it. He frowned before passing it to Elvis. "Take a look." Elvis took the comb in confusion and touched it. Then, he sneered and said, "Xiao Meng, the current Cole might really have such an ability." Gu Meng Meng was confused. She took the comb and touched it, but could not feel anything. She tilted her head and looked at Elvis in confusion. Leah hugged Gu Meng Meng and said, "You are not sensitive to beast pressure, so you can't feel it. The remnant beast pressure here is at the level of a beast king." Gu Meng Meng was stunned. He got the spirit of the rocky cliffs. Leah remained silent for a moment before pursing his lips. It could also be the kiss of the ocean or the soul of the forest. Gu Meng Meng was stunned for 2 seconds before her eyes turned bloodshot. Gritting her teeth, she grabbed onto Gregory's arm and said, "Send me to Solder, now, immediately." Leah hugged Gu Meng Meng and whispered into her ear, "Meng Meng, calm down." "How can I calm down? That bastard might have hurt my son." Chapter 1348. "No, I can't be anxious here. I want to go back and find him now." Qi Xian was a thorn in Gu Mengmeng's heart. As long as Cole touched him, Gu Mengmeng would lose her rationality. No matter how reasonable Li's analysis was, she could not calm down. Cole was a lunatic. Who could guarantee that a lunatic would weigh the pros and cons of doing things? Gregory looked at the agitated Gu Mengmeng and said slowly, he also said, Gu Mengmeng stopped struggling and allowed Leah to hug her. She then glared at Gregory with a face full of hatred, as if she could stare at Cole through him. Gregory actually felt a little creeped out by Gu Mengmeng's glare. On one hand, it was because Gu Mengmeng was the Beast King. On the other hand, try being stared at by a girl you like. If it was you, you would also feel creeped out. Pursing his lips, Gregory cleared his throat and continued, he said to let you spend the winter in Moda Mountains in peace. When the monsoon season comes next year, he will give you a big present. Rest your mother's balls. Gu Mengmeng pushed Leah away and grabbed Gregory's wrist again. Bring me back to Solder. I want to go back now. Gregory did not move. He just looked at Gu Mengmeng quietly. After a long while, he shook his head. I still have the same words. If you want to go, you can go by yourself. I will not stop you. Gu Mengmeng grabbed her head and spun around on the spot. After 2 rounds, she pressed Gregory against the wall. If you don't bring me back, I will kill you. Gregory's lips curled up. He chuckled. Go ahead. Gu Mengmeng raised her hand and aimed at Gregory's heart. But no matter how angry or worried she was, Gu Mengmeng still had a bottom line. Grace had saved her life when she was in trouble. If she wanted to kill Grace, she would be biting the hand that fed her. She would be the frozen snake. Swinging her hand, Gu Mengmeng suddenly smiled. She looked at Gregory. I heard that you like me. Gregory's blood froze. He looked at Gu Mengmeng and frowned. The secret that he tried so hard to hide was exposed to the sunlight. It made his heart feel uncomfortable. Gu Mengmeng retreated step by step and chuckled, send me back, or I will jump down from here. Even if I have the strength of a beast king, there's no saving me if I fall and turn into meat paste. Gregory frowned and his gaze drifted towards Elvis and Leah. He said coldly, if you jump down, the two of them will be the first to die with you. Gu Meng Meng raised her head and said, no, Elvis is a beast king and Leah is a 4th-level warrior. Both of them can withstand the backlash of the mating contract. Gu Meng Meng took another small step back and glared at Gregory with a face full of determination. Don't talk nonsense, I'm only asking you one question, are you sending me back? Gregory still stood there without moving. He was betting that Gu Meng Meng was lying, betting that she could not bear to really jump down. Gu Meng Meng clenched her teeth and nodded. All right, don't regret it. With that, Gu Meng Meng's entire body leaned backwards and fell straight out. In that instant, the blood of the 3 males in the cave froze. Elvis's reaction was the fastest. He immediately flew out to pull Gu Meng Meng into his arms and hugged her tightly. Along with the howling cold wind, Elvis only said one sentence. If you want to die, I will accompany you. Chapter 1349. Because she was not afraid, Gu Meng Meng could clearly see that when she and Elvis were falling down, there was a white figure following their trajectory and falling down. It was Leah, smiling with a poignant beauty and arrogance, with sadness and agony, but not a single trace of fear. Gu Meng Meng's heart tugged at her. She wanted to avoid Lee's eyes, but realized that she could not shift her gaze away from his long and narrow eyes, not even for a second. She was too rash. When Gregory said that the two of them would be buried with her, he was not referring to the backlash from the mating contract, but because if she died, the two of them would definitely not live on alone. She was really muddle-headed from anxiety, her actions this time were indeed rash. But, it seemed like it was too late to regret now. Chirp. A long chirp was heard, and before Gu Meng Meng could see clearly what had happened, she felt her body stop, and then, she did not fall down again, but moved horizontally. After circling one round, Leah appeared in front of her. Then, the 3 of them moved upwards. Gu Meng Meng looked up and saw sharp claws as thick as steel bars digging into Elvis and Lee's flesh, but the 2 of them did not seem to feel anything, and just stared at Gu Meng Meng. Gu Meng Meng felt guilty from being stared at, and slowly lowered her head. Everything, from start to finish, did not take more than 3 minutes. But to the 4 of them, it felt as long as a lifetime. Returning back to the cave, Gregory threw Leah and Elvis in directly before sitting at the edge of the cave. He looked at Gu Meng Meng coldly and said, if you have the courage to jump again, I will only save one of your 2 partners. If you jump for the 3rd time, I will only save you. Gu Meng Meng ignored Gregory's warning, and just lowered her head to admit her mistake like a child who had done something wrong. She pinched Elvis's beast-skin dress lightly with 2 fingers, and said with a sobbing tone, hubby. I was wrong. Elvis's brows were tightly furrowed, and he looked at Gu Meng Meng, asking, have you calmed down now? Gu Meng Meng nodded, and answered with a nasal voice, yeah. Elvis pulled Gu Meng Meng back into his arms, and asked with a hoarse voice, how ruthless are you? That's why I had to watch you seek death in front of me again and again. It was the same last time. She smiled at him by the lake and said, thank you, goodbye. Then, she lay down in the lake. This time, it was the same. Just as Gu Meng Meng fell backwards, Elvis felt as if a razor had sliced through his ribs and stabbed into his heart. Even though he was hugging Gu Meng Meng like this, he could no longer feel his own heartbeat and could not control the chills that spread all over his body. I was wrong. I was hot-headed, Anne. I'm sorry. Gu Meng Meng buried her face in Elvis's chest as tears rolled down her cheeks. She sobbed, I was too worried. Qi Xian has had a hard life since young and has always been controlled by Cole. It wasn't easy for me to snatch him back. What if Cole really did something to Qi Xian? I can't control myself at the thought of this. I'm sorry, hubby, you're injured, let me treat your wound first. The words of reprimand were stuck in his throat, drowned out by Gu Mingming's tears. Elvis just shook his head, and said, it's just a small injury, as long as you're fine, no one can take my life. Chapter 1350. Leah had originally planned to not let Gu Mengmeng off so easily this time. Otherwise, this little woman would become more and more daring and he did not know what she would do next time. But seeing her sobbing like she was about to suffocate, Lee's heart also throbbed painfully. Sighing, he walked to Gu Mingming's side and reached out his slender fingers to gently wipe away her tears. Gritting his teeth, he said, you are taking advantage of the fact that we can't do anything to you, so you deliberately want to torture us like this, right? Gu Mingming's shoulders trembled as she looked at Leah with pursed lips and reddened eyes. Shaking her head pitifully, she said, I jumped down not to kill myself. I just wanted to force Gregory to send me back to solder. I never thought that you and Elvis would jump down after me. Leah was so angry that he pinched Gu Mingming's little nose harshly and said, don't you know how important you are to Elvis and me? Alright, Gu Mengmeng, let me tell you, the moment I jumped down after you, I was thinking of the moment I landed on the ground. I need to be under you and die with you, just so that you won't feel so much pain before you fall to your death. Do you think that I won't jump down with you like this? Elvis pushed Lee's hand away and frowned, saying, she is already scared to death, don't say any more. Leah took a deep breath and turned to look at Elvis, saying, are you going to let her do whatever she wants just like that? Other things are fine, but she clearly promised us that she would protect herself for you and me and not let herself get hurt. She clearly knows that if she gets hurt even a little, it would be destroying our hearts. But what about her? When she jumped down from here, did she even think about our feelings? For Qi Xian, how many times has she abandoned us? I said that's enough. Elvis's face was cold and his brows were filled with anger. Leah nodded and smiled bitterly, saying, your indulgence will cause her to die sooner or later. If I had known earlier, I would not have given up the position of the first partner to you for the sake of the bigger picture. I should have brought her far away and hidden her. Then there would be no coal, no Qi Xian, and she would not jump across the lake and then the cliff. Elvis hugged Gu Mengmeng with one hand and raised his other hand to strangle Lee's neck. His wolf eyes were a deep blue, surging with a mysterious aura. He exuded a dangerous aura. I warned you before, don't challenge the authority of the first partner. Gu Mengmeng had never seen Elvis and Leah fight when they were sober. The two of them always had the same tacit understanding and had the same goal. They had once fought each other in a drunken stupor and even acted out a conflict to deceive Cole. But based on her understanding of Elvis and Leah, she could clearly tell that the two of them were really going against each other and they were both angry, and it was obvious that she was the one who had angered them, and they couldn't bear to lose their temper on her, so they vented their anger on each other. Gu Mengmeng held on to Elvis's wrist and said, hubby, don't be angry, it's all my fault, I shouldn't have fooled around on impulse. I won't dare to do it again, I really won't, hurry and let go, if you don't, Leah will be strangled to death by you. Elvis's gaze was fixed on Gu Mengmeng. His thin lips were pressed into a straight line and the complicated look in his eyes made Gu Mengmeng's heart ache. Chapter 1351. If you are still angry, then hit me. I have the power of a beast king, I can take more hits. As Gu Mengmeng said, she stretched out her little hand with her palm facing upwards. She shrank her neck back to hide, looking at Elvis with a fearful yet unwilling expression. Elvis took a deep breath and let go of Lee's neck. He held Gu Mengmeng's little hand tightly and said, you're a little liar. You didn't do a single thing that you promised me. Gu Mengmeng looked at Elvis. Gu Mengmeng knew she was in the wrong and did not dare to retort. She just nodded and said, "Yeah, I am a liar." Elvis did not know whether to laugh or cry at her behavior. He sighed and the turbid air in his chest dissipated. Gu Mengmeng saw that Elvis's expression had improved and she turned to look at Leah. She tugged at his arm and said, "Good Leah, I know you are angry with me. I was rash and jumped without thinking about the consequences. But as soon as I jumped down, I regretted it. When I saw your disappointed and sorrowful eyes looking at me, my heart ached terribly. I really won't dare to do it again. Please forgive me this time, okay? Just this once." Leah looked at Gu Mengmeng and asked, "Can your words still be trusted?" Little liar. We can believe it, we can believe it." Gu Mengmeng held on to Lee's arm and pleaded pitifully with her little face up, "I have decided to repent and turn over a new leaf. Really, I will not lie in the future." Could her promise be trusted? Leah knew in his heart that it could not be trusted at all. Once this girl was involved with someone she cared about, she would lose her rationality and act without caring about the consequences. But what else could he do even if he did not believe her? He could not let her go, could not bear to part with her and could not do anything to her. After all, how was he different from her? When he saw her jump into the cave, he also could not think about anything else and only wanted to follow her through life and death. He grabbed onto Gu Mingming's shoulders and pulled her into his arms tightly. Both of them knew very well how much unease that seemingly punishing force brought. "Then tell me, how can I trust you? When you met Qi Xian, when did you not consider the consequences?" Gu Mengmeng allowed Leah to hug her tightly. She knew that this was the only way for him to calm his fear. She did not struggle and instead hugged him back gently. Her soft body leaned against Lee's chest and she replied softly, "Then don't I still have a partner who is the wisest person in the world? In the future, if we encounter something like this, I will leave it to you to make arrangements. I believe that you will have a solution, right? There's no use in bootlicking." Lee's lips curved into a helpless smile. Why couldn't the words he used to criticize Elvis be used on himself? They could not do anything to this little woman. If this continued, she would become unruly sooner or later. Forget it, let her be. As long as he and Elvis were a little stronger, strong enough to protect her, it would be good. In this beast world, which female would not act recklessly? All right. Every word was worth 1,000 taels of gold. This was a promise. After coaxing Elvis and Leah, Gu Mingming's heart finally calmed down. Meanwhile, the three of them had completely ignored Gregory, who was standing at the entrance of the cave and watching everything coldly. Chapter 1352. That speed had already exceeded his own limits. Clearly, he was most proficient in the air. Jumping down from this height, he had enough time to catch her during the fall. He could even watch her fall for a while longer to teach her a lesson. But he did not even give himself any time to think. He dashed out like an arrow released from a bow. He even lost his sense of propriety. His iron claws had already grabbed onto Elvis, but he still felt uneasy. He was afraid that his grip would not be firm enough and Elvis and Gu Mengmeng would fall. The wound on Elvis's back was the best proof that he had lost his sense of propriety. He did not know how much less worried he was than Elvis and Leah. He only knew that he did not dare to take a single step away from the edge of the cave because he was afraid that she would jump again. He said that if she jumped again, he would only save one partner. If she jumped a second time, he would not save any of them. But he did not dare to say that if she jumped a third time, he would not even save her. Even if it was just to threaten her, he could not say it. But she coaxed the two partners who had died with her with gentle words, but did not even look at the person who had saved her life. She jumped off the cliff to force him to send her back to solder. She admitted that she dared to jump because she was sure that he liked her and would definitely save her. Should he be glad that she trusted him? But other than trust, she would not give him anything else. And this trust, she was only using it to force him to send her back. Did he still not understand? Did he not understand? There was no place for him in her heart. The pride of the vulture tribe had probably been crushed by her murderous gaze at the edge of Sauter's territory. Actually, it was so easy for him to send her back. As long as she accepted him, he would naturally not force her to stay in this cave. But, she would rather die than keep him by her side to accompany her. Gregory thought, perhaps he could understand why the stray beasts were so afraid of her. Because when she decided to be ruthless, she was far more heartless than the stray beasts. It was not that Gu Mengmeng did not feel Gregory's burning gaze. She did not want to make use of other people's feelings, but this matter concerned Qi Xian and she had no other choice. What he owed Gregory was, in the end, still owed. Gu Mengmeng sighed softly, then leaned into Li's arms. She lowered her head and asked softly, "Are you still in pain?" Li's injuries were more serious than Elvis's, or it could be said that due to the difference in their abilities, the healing speed was different. The bloody wound on Elvis's back had almost healed, but Li's wound was still bleeding. Leah held onto Gu Mingming's little hand and placed it on his chest. Then, he answered solemnly, "It hurts. It's so painful that I can't die, yet I don't want to live." Gu Mengmeng kissed Li's chest lightly and said, "I won't let you feel this pain again." "All right." Leah hugged Gu Mengmeng and sighed before continuing, "Be good and rest here for another 20 days. After 20 days, I will bring you back to Sauter, all right?" Gu Mengmeng looked up at Leah and asked, "You have a solution?" Leah chuckled. "You already said that I am the wisest person in the beast world. I can't let you down. In order for you to trust me enough and think of me to solve any problems in the future instead of fooling around, I must have a solution, right?" Gu Mengmeng lowered her head and did not say another word. Chapter 1353. Gregory looked at Gu Mengmeng worriedly but did not say a word or move. Leah chuckled and said, "Don't worry, Xiao Meng doesn't treasure her own life but regards Elvis and I as precious. For the both of us, she won't do anything foolish again." Leah said this with enough certainty that made Gregory feel at ease and extremely jealous at the same time. Gregory did not stay any longer and just transformed into a vulture. He used his claws to grab Leah out of the cave and flew into a cave on another mountain. This cave had a completely different style from the one Gu Mengmeng was in now. There was a forest of strange rocks and dilapidated cliffs, giving the illusion of being in the mouth of a devil. But Leah did not mind too much. After all, it was just a place to talk and it was fine as long as Gu Mengmeng could not hear them. "Cole must have promised you something, right?" Leo leaned against the wall casually and calmly. He smiled at Gregory and said, "You don't have to deny it. You and I are both males and we both wanted Gu Mengmeng but could not get her. If there's anyone in the beast world who can understand your current feelings, it's probably me. Because only I know how ruthless she can be when she sets her heart on something." She did not even say a word of rejection but could use her gaze and actions to torture us to the point where there's nothing left unscathed. But, even though it's as painful as a million ants drilling into our hearts, we can't help but continue to approach her while screaming in pain. Gregory's jaw tightened into a right angle. He did not say a word, neither admitting nor denying. But only he knew that what Leah said was right. Gu Mingming's attempt to please and comfort Elvis and Leah just now was more hurtful than 100 sharp rejections. "It's precisely because I've experienced this that I understand your current state very well. Logically speaking, you should be in a situation where you're trying your best to please her. You don't even need her to make a request. You'll want to present the best in the world to her, just so that she'll look at you a little longer. But you rejected her request and gave up the chance for her to be indebted to you. This was not an easy thing to do. After all, even Elvis and I would find it extremely difficult to say no in front of her. And you actually did it. So the only logical explanation is that you have a greater temptation of benefits. For example, someone promised you that as long as you trap Meng Meng here for the winter, she will willingly mate with you. You can even replace me or Elvis and become the most important person by Meng Meng's side. Gregory's pupils constricted, and his brows furrowed indiscernibly. Leah chuckled. Ah, looks like I guessed correctly. Did he also tell you that Elvis's mark was on Meng Meng's collarbone, while mine was on her left ear, so her heart was still empty? And he has the ability to help you leave your mark there. Gregory clenched his fist. Although the wording was different, the meaning was exactly the same. If not for the fact that foxes could never fly, Gregory would have suspected that Leah was hiding in the dark and spying on him. This fox was too terrifying. Leah waved his hands and said, "Don't be so nervous, I just know him too well." Chapter 1354. Although you have only met him once, you can't tell his intentions and greed towards Meng Meng, right? Leah chuckled as he shook his head. Taking a step back, even if you can't see through his true nature, as a male, if you were in his shoes, would you help another male to occupy the spot in the female's heart that you want? Gregory clenched his fists and instinctively avoided Lee's eyes. How could he not know what Leah was saying? He was just deceiving himself and others, holding on to a sliver of hope that, what if? Leah waved his tail and mercilessly exposed the fluke in Gregory's heart. As someone who has been through it, I can tell you clearly that my Meng Meng is amenable to coaxing but not coercion. No schemes are as effective as treating her well wholeheartedly. As for what that crippled fox promised you, I can guarantee, he can't do it and no one else in this world can do it. Leo lifted his head and smiled calmly. They were clearly of similar height and Gregory was slightly more muscular. But at that moment, he felt that Leo was high and mighty, like a deity in the clouds looking down at the lovesick men and resentful women in the mortal world. He gave off a sense of detachment and Gregory could not help but believe his words. Leah said, "Cast aside your unrealistic fantasies and think about it seriously. If Elvis and I don't allow it, who can get close to Meng Meng?" Gregory remained silent but he knew very well that Lee's words were right. Based on Lee's and Elvis's abilities, no one could get close to Gu Meng Meng if they did not allow it. Leah took 2 steps to stand behind Gregory and placed one hand on his shoulder. He whispered into his ear from the other side, "You have already sensed it, right? Back then, you were able to hang around Meng Meng because I opened the door for you. But if you bring any dirty things near Meng Meng when you enter through this door, I can only close the door. This is the Moda Mountains." Gregory straightened his spine and said. What he meant was that without him, they would not even be able to leave that cave. Even Leah could not return to Gu Mingming's side. Leah chuckled and nodded. That's right, this is the Moda Mountains. In other words, you are not the only one who can fly here. There was probably no lack of winged beasts here. Tell me, how difficult can it be for me to find someone who is willing to serve the messenger of the beast deity? Grace frowned and lowered her head. That's right, among the tens of thousands of birds, how many could resist Elvis's threats, Lee's temptations, and Gu Mingming's beauty? The Eagle Owl tribe was once one of the guards of the Moda Mountains. Now, the entire tribe followed Gu Mingming's lead and were completely loyal. But she did not even have a single Eagle Owl tribe partner by her side. She could easily subdue the Eagle Owl clan and the other birds on Moda Mountains. Even his heart that was once as firm as a rock could not stop palpitating because of her. It would be even more difficult for others to resist her charm. As long as she beckoned with her finger, not to mention sending her back to Sauter. Even if she had to use pairs of wings to form a bridge for her to walk back to Sauter, these birds would not hesitate to break off their own wings to fulfill her wish. Chapter 1355. What do you want me to do? Gregory asked concisely. Leah gently brushed away the non-existent dust on Gregory's shoulder, then rubbed his fingers and smiled. It's nothing special. You just have to make sure that Meng Meng doesn't suffer in that cave for the next 20 days and send the three of us back to Sauter safely after 20 days. As long as you can do that, I guarantee that you can continue staying by Meng Meng's side. Of course, whether she likes you or not, whether she is willing to accept you, will depend on your own abilities and luck. All right. Gregory had no other choice, right? Leah nodded his head in satisfaction and said, since we've spoken, let's go back. I haven't seen my Meng Meng for a while and I miss her very much. Gregory ignored Lee's pretentious boasting and just grabbed onto his ankle as if he was taking revenge, hanging him upside down and bringing him back to Gu Mingming's cave. Seeing that Leah had returned, Gu Mengmeng hurriedly went up to him and turned his body around to check the wound on his back. Seeing that the wound had not reopened, she heaved a sigh of relief and said, "What were you whispering about, carrying me?" Leah placed an arm on Gu Mingming's shoulder and smiled devilishly, saying, "Didn't he say that he will only save your partner if you jump off the cliff again? Let me discuss with him and ask him to only save Elvis next time. It will only be clean if I fall to my death, so that he doesn't have to worry about you every day." Leah, Gu Mengmeng called out Lee's name as if she was begging for mercy, causing Lee's heart to flutter. He pinched her little face but could not do anything to her. He could only kiss her and say, "I don't have a good temper like Elvis. I won't let this matter go so easily, you must be mentally prepared. Wait till you get the love of the sky. I will settle the score with you, do you understand? Settle the score after getting the love of the sky." Gu Mengmeng thought about it. She was preparing to give birth to little foxes after getting the love of the sky, so Leah was planning to settle the score with her when they were making babies. Was that what he meant? Gu Mengmeng blushed and lightly hammered Lee's chest. "You're not serious at all." Leah allowed Gu Mingming's weightless fists to land lightly on his chest, allowing her to hit him coquettishly. Seeing how she was behaving coquettishly in his arms, Lee's gaze was filled with joy. Fortunately, she was fine. Fortunately. As long as she could continue to be so presumptuous in his arms, he could let go of everything. He held Gu Mingming's little fist gently, then lowered his head to kiss her left ear. "Gregory saved the three of us once again. We already owe him 6 times for saving our lives. This debt, how do you intend to repay him?" Gu Mingming's expression changed. Gu Mengmeng pursed her lips and peeked her furry little head out from Lee's arms. She looked at Gregory, who was standing at the entrance with a face full of ice, and felt a little guilty. How should she put it? At that time, blood rushed to her head, and she jumped down without a care. But now that he looked back at Gregory, he didn't have much confidence. After all, Grace was not her partner, and he had no obligation to accommodate her nonsense. Chapter 1356. Gregory pursed his lips and did not say a word. Gu Mengmeng also felt that only sticking out half her head looked insincere, so she took 2 steps out from Lee's arms and walked towards Gregory. But she had only taken the 3rd step when Gregory's expression changed. He frowned and said coldly, "Stand there, don't move." Gu Mengmeng was shocked by Gregory's roar. She remained motionless as if she had stepped on a landmine, looking at Gregory in confusion. Gregory realized that he had overreacted. Gu Mengmeng obviously did not want to jump off the cliff again. Feeling slightly awkward, he turned his face to the side but could not say a word. Leah stood behind Gu Mengmeng and exchanged a look with Elvis, laughing at how this Gregory was obviously a hot-tempered brat who had just awakened his first love. Wanting to win Gu Mengmeng's heart with his skills, it was a long road ahead. Leah pulled Gu Mengmeng back into his arms and pecked her little face, saying, rather than saying sorry 100 times, why not do something that's not wrong? Moreover, it's too childish to write off a life-saving debt with just 2 words of thank you. Gu Mengmeng thought about it and agreed. She turned to look at Leah and asked, what about you? Leah tapped his chin and said, he saved our family of 3 twice, that's equivalent to 6 lives. We will return him 6 lives, that's only fair. Gu Mengmeng tilted her head and looked at Leah. She thought for a moment, then nodded seriously and said, how about this, I owe you 6 lives. If you have anyone you want to kill, tell me and I will help you kill all 6 as repayment. How about that? Leah and Gregory were both taken aback. Leah face-bombed while trying to hide his smile. Gregory's face froze and he said, I am a male but I want to rely on a female to kill for me. You. Gu Mengmeng covered her mouth and thought to herself, I forgot, this beast world has severe gender discrimination. In some matters, humans are even more straight men than straight men. Gu Mengmeng used her elbow to poke Leah and said, it's all your rotten idea. Leah smiled bitterly and helplessly and said, I said I will return him 6 lives, but who said I will kill for him? Then. Gu Mengmeng was confused. Leah tapped Gu Mengmeng's little nose and said, doesn't Sauter still have a gift for the birds on the Moda Mountains? Gift? Miranda. Gu Mengmeng's eyes lit up and Leah knew that she had thought of something. He continued, besides Miranda, we can go to other tribes to exchange for 5 females and send them to the Moda Mountains. In this way, wouldn't it be equivalent to 6 lives of Gregory's leader? Gu Mengmeng nodded. Yeah, this is a good idea. Not only did I return the favor, I also solved the problem of reproduction in Moda Mountains. Leah glanced at Gregory and said slowly, it's just that it's not easy to exchange females. After all, unless a female committed a grave mistake, no tribe would sell her off easily. So, we'll have to trouble leader Gregory to stay in Sauter for a while. After we've found all 6 females and returned your favor, you can return to Moda Mountains. Leader Gregory, what do you think? How could Gregory not understand? This was what Leah said, a way for him to stay by Gu Mengmeng's side legitimately. Nodding, Gregory said, all right. Chapter 1357. It was easy to borrow a favor but hard to repay it. Now that Leah had come up with this idea, it was the best of both worlds. Gu Mengmeng felt that the burden on her heart had lessened by a lot. Leah chuckled as he looked at Gu Mengmeng's relieved look. This girl really wanted to make things clear with Gregory and was not willing to accept his attentiveness for free. This meant that Gu Mengmeng really did not have any feelings for Gregory, so she did not even give him a chance to show off. As such, he felt more at ease leaving Gregory by Gu Mengmeng's side. Come to think of it, he was just another Burke. Every day, Gu Mengmeng would use a small stone to draw a line on the wall. In the blink of an eye, 20 days had passed. It was the coldest time of the winter but Gu Mengmeng insisted on returning to Sauter. Elvis and Leah knew that Gu Mengmeng couldn't stop worrying about Qi Xian. She had already endured so much for the past 20 days, so they didn't want to force her. They would accompany her through the wind and snow. As long as she could be at ease and happy, that was enough. It was not difficult for Gregory to travel through the wind and snow. He did not want to bring her back because he wanted to spend more time with her and also because of Cole's empty promise. Now that he had formed an alliance with Leah and Leah had given him a reason to stay by Gu Mengmeng's side, he naturally had no need to force Gu Mengmeng to stay in Moda Mountains. After all, if she really jumped off the cliff again, he would probably go crazy before anything happened to her. Originally, Gregory wanted to carry Gu Meng Meng on his back and bring Elvis and Leah back with his claws, but Gu Meng Meng was unwilling. She said that it was a special situation when they came and they had to act according to the urgency of the situation. Although it was also a rush to go back now, it was not as panicky as when they came. There was no reason for Gregory to carry her on his back again. Actually, everyone knew very well that Gu Meng Meng had made use of the fact that Gregory liked her and forced him into a corner, so she had a knot in her heart. Now that she had exposed the truth, they had to be extra careful when interacting with each other. Gregory knew that she was stubborn and it was useless to force her, so he could only listen to her. The final outcome was that Lee's body was relatively smaller and he curled up in the wooden pail to hug Gu Meng Meng. Gregory grabbed onto the edge of the wooden pail to bring the two of them along, while Elvis hugged onto Gregory's claws himself. Hence, 3 days later, a strange scene appeared in the sky above Sauter. A spiritual eagle was flying in the sky with a wolf on its leg and a wooden bucket in its claws. Something was moving in the snow, but Gu Meng Meng could not see it clearly as it was too far away. But when she landed on the ground, Gu Meng Meng only saw one person standing in front of the stone castle with his hands behind his back. The door of the stone castle was pushed open and there was a fire burning in the house, but it could not warm up this silver-white world. The person standing at the door was none other than Cole. His silver hair fluttered in the wind and his lips curled into a smile. He did not seem to care about the snowstorm and coldness at all. His eyes were filled with love as he said, "Ah Gu, welcome back." Gu Meng Meng squinted at Cole and sneered, "You're not afraid of me. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.